Okay, welcome to the special meeting of the Larkspur City Council on Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. It's now a little after 6:25. We have a couple of different things happening tonight, but we're starting with a special meeting on a few matters, and then we'll go to our regular meeting. And then we'll go on to a closed session and then come back. So we're going to be a little bit bouncing around tonight, but I appreciate everybody being here. Let's begin our special meeting with a roll call.
Councilmember Candell,
I am here.
Councilmember Margulies,
I'm here.
Councilmember Paulson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andre,
Here.
Mayor Way.
Here. And if we can, do we want to do the Pledge of Allegiance now or at the regular meeting? We'll do it at the regular meeting. All right, so item number 2 is approval of the special meeting consent calendar. Tonight we have 2 items that were brought. One was brought recently to my attention, and I asked that we could put it on the agenda for tonight under consent. Do we have any council members who would like to pull any item from the consent calendar? No? Okay. I think our city manager may have a report on 1 or 2 of them. Is there one you would like to?
I'll just say for the record, Madam Mayor, we don't normally call a special meeting for consent calendar, but both these items came in too late to be on the regular agenda. For the benefit of the community, one is a proclamation that April 9 is Education and Sharing Day, and I have to confess I didn't know that was a
Neither
thing.
did I, but I learned about it
But it's been in existence for more than 40 years.
since 1978.
And then the other one was an urgent call from the California League of Cities to enter an opposition position on a bill.
Great. So if we don't have any further comment on the consent item, I'll close consent unless there's anyone in the audience who would like to speak on those 2 items. I didn't think so. So do I have a motion to accept the consent calendar as written?
I will make that motion.
I'll second.
We have a roll call?
You don't actually need to do.
Oh, we
that while
don't.
You're all here in the chamber.
Wow, that's great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? No, it passes unanimously. Great. So now we adjourn this special meeting. Told you it'd go fast. Didn't get enough time to go next door too far. And now we'll open our regular meeting. It is still and remains Wednesday, April 2nd, 2025. So our regular meeting of the Larkspur City Council begins with a roll call.
Councilmember Candell,
I'm still here.
Councilmember Margulies,
Still here.
Councilmember Paulson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andre,
Here.
Mayor Way.
Here, if you're able, could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Item number 2 is public comment. That is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council for matters that are not on the agenda tonight, on any of our 3 meetings, but that are not on the agenda tonight. Because it hasn't been agendized, there's no opportunity for us to discuss it in detail, but we can have the opportunity to agendize it at a later date. So is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to the council on a public comment? Yes, please. Please come to the podium, introduce yourself for the record.
Hello, everyone. I'm Barbara Friday at 66 Meadowwood. I'm really happy to be here on Library Night with all my library pals and to announce that the Friends of Larkspur Library will be sponsoring a touch truck event again on May 4th at Redwood High School as a fundraiser for the new library. And I just wanted to invite everyone and to say that tickets are available at the Friends website or on Eventbrite or at the door. And I hope that you all can attend. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Anyone else? Okay. Anyone online who would like to address the council for matters that are not on the agenda? No hands raised. All right, then I'll close that. And that brings us to the grand event why we're here, which is presentation, item number 3. This is an opportunity to update from the Commons Foundation on fundraising and activities to support the new Larkspur Library. Hold on, Ann, I got a few things I got to say first. Before I make some comments, is there anything that the staff, any staff presentation at all? Okay. So I'm very excited that we are entering a new phase of our Larkspur Library and Community Center plan that has been in the works for a very long time. And if anybody has had a chance to walk by Rose Lane and Doherty Avenue or Boulevard, they can see the wonderful project that is underway. I think walls will be coming up soon, and the foundation is being laid, and the amazing construction staff is there showing everyone a good time who comes by and brings some cookies. And they're very excited to be working on this project just as we are. So I have a lot of thoughts about it, but when I was thinking about tonight and the wonderful presentation that the Commons Foundation is going to bring forward to us in a few minutes, I reflected back on the first time this idea of a public-private partnership came forward. We had a lot of stops and starts on this project, and one of the things that was really a compelling stop was when our dear Frances Gordon, the librarian, got ill with pancreatic cancer and did not live much longer after that. And it was very, very hard on the community and also staff and the whole change in our library. As she had been the librarian for 16 or 18 years, I believe, well loved. And I looked back on my notes that I had spoken to at her memorial service. And in that memorial service, I made a mention of going to visit her in her home in Heather Gardens near the end of her life, and promising her that we would get this far. Took a little while, but I think she's probably smiling at that now. And then in walked Joe Jennings, and I went back on my email list, and I put Joe's name in. I'm like, what was the first time Joe reached out to me other than when we used to see each other on the walk? When his first official email to me came August 14th, 2018. So 2018 was when Joe, who now resides in another city, but his heart resides in Larkspur, I'm sure. And if Joe, you're online, I'm sure that's true. Stepped forward and said that he and a group of community members were really interested in creating an opportunity to fundraise for this project. And so my August 14th, 2018 email had some of the people who are still here, Anne and AJ and Catherine Pike and Gabriel. I don't see Gabriel. Joe, Kathy Green, Paul Straub, and Noel Shumway and Barbara Friday. They were all listed on this email as people who were going to step forward and help. And you guys have hung in there and done this and stepped forward to do that. And then he presented a draft. And the draft was written in April of 2018, the proposal for what the Commons would do. I just want to read this one little section. In July 2013, Larkspur Rose Garden Community Facility Master Plan report recommended a new integrated community center and library on the site that is, quote, is a vibrant and beautiful beacon of lifelong learning, social interaction, civic engagement, local culture and history, and health and wellness. The task force will raise the funds and build an integrated facility that implements this vision, addresses the community concerns outlined in the master plan, and will be cost-effective in development and operations for the city and Larkspur taxpayers. That was a big lift, as we know. And then 2018, 2019 was lots of challenges to get this process up and running. And then came the pandemic. And I remember calling Joe and saying, oh, all bets are off now, as we have no idea what's going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen with our city finances. We didn't know what was going to happen with government. We didn't know what was going to happen with any of that. But the tenacity of the team came forward, and it led us to today. And Joe and his crew still remain with us. And although he left for a new community, he turned over a lot of this tremendous energy to Ann Morrison. And I am in deep respect and gratitude to Ann to accepting this challenge. I remember calling her up and saying, "Oh, you're never going to have to fundraise because it's all been done." But oh boy, we learned that nothing's ever done when you're fundraising for a big project. So it was fantastic that you stepped forward to do that, and also that the community stuck together on this very important matter. So all that being said, I would like to invite Ann Morrison to come to the microphone and share with us some exciting news.
Thank you. And Catherine, I remember calling you when we needed a council member saying, Catherine Way, we need you to sit on the council. And I'm so happy you accepted that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Tonight is, can you hear me, by the way? Am I speaking loud enough? Tonight is a powerful example of what happens when you take a community, a city, and a state, and you work together to make wonderful things happen. Since 2018, like Catherine said, the Common Foundation has been dedicated to raising funds. I'm just going to let that fall. Raising funds for the new Larkspur Library and Community Center, a dream that is now becoming a reality. Thank you, Scott. This journey has been made possible by the unwavering commitment of the past board members, Joe Jennings, Kathy Green, and our present board members, Jonathan Ellenswig, we have Jean Friedel, Cindy Winship, and Brock Wagstaff, and my name is Ann Morrison. We also have a wonderful fundraising consultant, Serena Diarchi Fisher. As volunteers, we have worked tirelessly to raise $5 million for this project. I know, isn't that amazing? Thank you. And while we continue celebrating this huge achievement, we continue to push forward, now focusing on fundraising for the library's landscaping to create a space as beautiful as the outside as it will be in the inside. Now to our donors. Thank you for trusting us to work hand in hand with city leaders and the other nonprofits that also contribute to the library. So with that, I want to thank Dan Schwartz, our city manager, Julian Skinner, who is our public works director. We have a library director, Damon Hill. Also our wonderful mayor and city council members, our planning commissioners, our city library board, and then we have friends of the library, Library Foundation, Larkspur Community Foundation. We're just a wonderful team, and thank you so much. Now, I want to invite you to imagine walking into this new facility. You walk through the doors and you enter to the left this incredible great room. It is full with comfortable chairs, tables, magazines, newspapers, and books. It's a place to go to read and to relax. And on a beautiful day, you can go ahead and the walls open up. It's called a nano wall. The wall completely opens up to have an indoor-outdoor space. You walk into this incredible courtyard that will be beautifully furnished with beautiful surrounding and a lovely shade. And you got this beautiful vision of Mount Tam, and you can also see part of the city of Larkspur. And then if you need a gathering space, you have 3 choices. So if you want to meet for a committee meeting or a TED Talk or a book club, you have those 3 spaces to go to. And then for our teens and preteens, we have a teen room where it's a community room for our teens. And then if you want to study solo, you need to be independent, we have 4 study rooms for you. And then you go across and you have the children's library. It will be a vibrant space filled with colorful artwork and children's reading nooks and beautiful, of course, shelves stocked with incredible books to spark young imaginations. And for those that cherish Larkspur's history, we have a special historical room that will preserve and showcase our town's past and present. So with that, This is not just a library. It is a gathering for all. A second home for residents of Larkspurs and our neighboring cities where we can come together to just be together, to learn, and to share thoughts. So, and now to mark this incredible milestone, I invite all of you to come forward and stand behind this enlarged 5 million check, a gift from our donors, our generous donors to the city of Larkspur. Yes. It's a symbol of shared vision and a testament to what we can accomplish when we come together. Donors, thank you for believing in us and thank you for making this dream come true. Donors, we so appreciate you. So a big thanks. So with all that, let's celebrate. I would love everyone to come on up, stand behind this large check, and please let's take a photo. Dan, I really want you in the photo. So
Well, we
Sky,
can
would
have-
you take?
We can have various ones. Thank
come
you,
on.
Anne. Okay.
Yes. So thank you, everybody. Okay, I'm just gonna let you guys hold it. You guys get
Okay.
situated. Come on, council members. Come on. Don't be shy. How'd I do?
All right. Well, thank you. We're going to keep our $5 million check in front of us tonight. I don't think you can see it from, maybe if you lower the camera, the audience online can see what we have a $5 million check, which makes me very, very happy. Yes. So we, after tonight, I have asked as progress comes along on the building that we sort of hold a little placeholder on all of our agendas for updates. Should there be updates that we need to have kind of going forward, so that we can all as a community hear the positive things that are going on and see them as they're coming. There is also a webcam that is on the job site now that you're able to look remotely and see what's happening as the construction is going along. And if you walk by the Doherty property, you can see that there's a beautiful rendering of the image of what the structure is going to look like. So as we move forward, it's going to be an exciting 6 to 1 year. almost 6 months to 1 year. We are going to get this done by March of next year, all fingers crossed. If that's the plan. So look forward to all of the updates that will be coming through the spring, summer, and fall as we move forward. This is also an opportunity for other members of the community who are interested in participating. We need everybody. This is a group event. This is one of the first times I think in the history since I've been involved where there's been such a robust public-private partnership in Marin County to build a civic structure. That was a big mouthful. I don't know, there probably have been others, but in my most recent history, this is the one I know of to be probably one of the biggest projects. And I know a lot of other cities are looking to us as examples for where you can involve the community to help, because cities, we don't all have the money to do big projects like this without the support or without increasing taxes or other things like that. So, and then lastly, while we wrap up this presentation, I just think it's really important that we recognize how much our staff has put into this project for years now. For years since we had a library and community center group which met in this room. Brock was part of that many years ago, off and on. A previous public works director even was involved in that one. So our staff has been integral in getting this to happen because this is a project that is icing on a cake, let's just say that. They have everyday work to do, which is to provide the safety, security, roads, infrastructure of our city, our public works and having that work, our library, our parks. They have all that work to do, and this is something that adds on top. And I will never forget when we got the opportunity to apply for a grant from the state of California during COVID, when we were all trying to figure out how to run a little city. And it was a pretty big grant opportunity. And it was a really big grant paperwork project too. It took a lot of staff time to work on that. Our library director worked on it. Our public works director worked on it. Our city manager worked on it. A lot of people did. And then we submitted it thinking, well, fingers crossed, because we're kind of little small town in a big state. But we had a shovel-ready project, and we already had a committed community who was ready to put $5 million minimum into this project, and that was on our grant application. And if those of you remember, my husband was ill at this time, but I was in the car with him, taking him on an outing because he couldn't walk at that point. And I got a phone call from Dan Schwartz, the city manager, on my phone. And usually when the city manager calls, you're like, uh-oh, what'd I do wrong this time? No, but he said, you'll never believe this. I said, what happened? He says, we got the grant. And that was just, and I think, I can't remember the exact date, but it was in the COVID days. So it was all because a lot of you all worked hard at this and our staff worked hard at it. So I want to say kudos to everyone, but we have to recognize this team effort is going to get us far. So another clap. All right. So at that point, unless others have comments, or have I spoken enough? Anyone else in the audience have any comments, or we can close this presentation item? More to come, because we'll be doing more celebrations to come. All right. At this point, then I will close our presentation item 3.1. And thank you. You're welcome to stay, but take your swag bag and go. I know. All right, that brings us to item 4, which is approval of the consent calendar. Do I have any council member who would like to approve pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion? No? Anyone in the audience or anyone online like to pull an item for discussion? Okay, seeing none, I'll get a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
Motion for approval of the consent calendar.
I'll second the motion for the approval of. the
All in favor of approval of this consent calendar, say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Nope. And that motion passes. That brings us to item 5, which is the city manager's report.
I'll be brief, Madam Mayor. The first thing I wanted to do, it relates to our celebrating the library. I wanted to acknowledge Alton Construction, our partner in bringing our library to life. They stopped work the other day, and if you were driving by, you saw a contingent of 30 plus young people in hard hats out on the site. Alton hosted the engineering class from Redwood High School
Good.
and talk them through what it means to manage a job site of that nature. And I just want to acknowledge, I thought it was a very nice gesture on their part to incorporate that into their workday. Other than that, with the rainy season, I know we have a lot of frustrated patrons for our parks. We're trying to open things up in the ball fields and such, but we don't want the fields to be too wet. That results in damage that can take a while to heal. So I think we have people out there now, but please be patient. We may periodically have to go out and check and see the status of the fields. And then lastly, I've gotten some indications that people may not be aware of the report out from closed session from your last meeting. So I thought it'd be worthwhile to reiterate it here, which is that with respect to the matter of off-leash dogs in Piper Park, the council has deferred action to wait and see the outcome or resolution of the current litigation involving the Audubon Society and other groups and the Marin Municipal Water District. And so at this time, the rules remain in place that dogs are supposed to be on leash. With that, I turn it back to you, Madam Mayor.
Are there any questions the council has of the city manager? No? Okay. That leaves us to item number 6, council members' reports and comments. Should I start with Gabe?
Sure. So I just wanted to shout out and give a thanks for everybody who participated in the Ready Marin Disaster Fair. That
yeah.
was on Saturday, March 28th. So that was right by the
North-
Nordstrom, that north
the north
parking
parking
lot. And it was great. Just trying to raise awareness. I think about 100 people showed, and they even had a little kerosene pit where you could put out a fire, and Finn had to try that, my son. So it was a good time for all. Also on TAM on this past Thursday, I got on the 101-580 connector committee. It's something that has been discussed a lot in the past, and I just felt Larkspur needs a seat at the table, even though many decisions have already been made. And then we did a sea level rise planning, which has some overlap with those of you interested in all the environmental issues, and they've really identified Highway 37 needing mitigation, and then the 101-580, that very same connector just before San Rafael there. And I really want to keep my eye on the Lucky Drive exit as something that we consider as needing sea level rise mitigation. That would really be a throttle point if that flooded. So that's it for me.
Anyone else?
I have a couple of
Sure.
updates. One, I attended a meeting of Marin Clean Energy. And so it's budget season. And so we talked about the budget. Their costs are going up extremely quickly year over year. And some of that really can't be mitigated. But some of it, Marin Clean Energy is trying to mitigate. So I've gotten on their technical committee, which oversees basically procurement in their energy contracts to see what can be done to help mitigate some of the costs. We voted not to increase rates, although we will be increasing demand rates on a very small percentage of the larger commercial and agricultural customers. So they will see an increase in their rates during peak periods. So In conjunction with raising the rates, MCE is also reaching out to the impacted customers and will be helping them, again, figure out ways where they can either use less energy during peak hours or implement, energy efficient technology that can help them, again, reduce energy usage during peak hours. And then my second update will be about the sea level rise. So I'm on that steering committee for the county-wide sea level rise commission. We had another very long meeting, and I think this is going to be a big issue. First of all, it's going to take it's an estimated 15 billion in, I guess, in costs necessary to mitigate sea level rise in Marin County. Second of all, we have a lot of jurisdictions, a lot of environmental agencies and a lot of infrastructure agencies like TAM and the Marine Municipal Water District. We also have flood control zones, trying to figure out how we are going to coordinate. First of all, how do we even come up with a priority list of priorities and a plan? Every jurisdiction is going to have to put together a sea level rise plan. I think this is going to be just it's going to be a big project that is going to require a lot of collaboration among all the jurisdictions in Marin, but also other agencies. And so I'll keep you posted. We are just starting our work. And a lot of that is, again, identifying priorities, identifying and creating a structure on how we can all work together. So we are just really in the front end of trying to figure out sea
Yeah.
level rise.
It's only the second meeting. I mean, I went to the first one and I was like, this is going to be daunting. So, and actually I was fascinated. It was the first meeting I've ever been to in all this work with the county in which there were tribal representatives. Were there tribal representatives? Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Okay, Scott, anything?
I have nothing tonight.
Sarah?
I can just report quickly that I sat in on the Community Development Block Grant Priority Setting Committee. This is a committee that is looking to review applications from all of the public service organizations. It's for distributing about $230,000, which is what we received last year from the feds. It comes from the Housing and Urban Development Department. And we had about 21 applications, all of which were very, very good, strong candidates to receive the funding. So it was a difficult process to eliminate, but because the funding was specific to youth services and, sorry, I need my cheat sheet here for a second. Youth services and housing services, we were able to eliminate some pretty quickly. But others were very good. So we, together, a group of about 6 of us, worked with the folks at county level to identify the ones that we felt were strong contenders. They will bring those to the supervisors, and the funding will be allocated on May 8th, or approval for the services that have been chosen will be allocated on May 8th in the supervisor meeting.
I'm glad you took on that role because I think I did it for a couple of years and then Kevin Carroll did. And it really gives you a full perspective of the county's nonprofits that are working with individuals for all sorts of needs, particularly in housing. So thank you for doing that. All right. So just 2 things. I sit on Marin Wildfire and I also sit on Fire Safe Marin. And last Wednesday was a big wildland fire conference that they hosted up at Embassy Suites. I didn't go to the 3-day conference, but I went to the opening night where the keynote speaker was invited to speak about the changes in weather that are happening by way of global climate change. And he's a UCLA professor, Daniel Swain. And I had heard him before, and he has a very good Blue Sky or Twitter or other social media platform where he really shares a lot of really good weather information that I highly recommend. But he spoke, he was the invited speaker. Most of the fire agencies were there, but a lot of people from all over state agencies and state organizations that do with forestry were there. And it's interesting how actually in some of his comments, which I think you can see on YouTube, he reflected on Marin County, and he grew up here, but he's a professor now at UCLA. He reflected on that the Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority is really the model of what a county can do as far as creating an agency that is really focused on vegetation management and mitigating wildland fire hazards through vegetation management policies and evacuation route planning. So we're getting traction on what we're doing. That being said, that wildfire evaluations are happening. This is my notice. They came to my house 2 weeks ago. So if you get your notice, you get an individual inspection report ID number and access code. And this is my individual one. Please open it and see what the report was, because they're working on trying to inspect every property every 2 years. And you'll get notification when it's going to be in your neighborhood. It's in my neighborhood last week. So open your wildfire report and see what they have to say. And then lastly, and this was just sort of something interesting I did, I went to the Marin History Gala, Marin History Society Gala on Sunday night, and in which they honored 25 women in Marin County historically who have been contributors to the quality of life and the philanthropy in Marin. And I was just pleased to see 3 Larkspur women honored: Andrea Schultz, Susan Gilardi, and Sandra Goldman. So there were a lot of really amazing women, but those 3 stand out to me as Larkspur residents who have done a lot of work for our community. And that's it. So that brings us to public hearings, which is item number 7. So 7.1, Larkspur Community Facilities District Number 2024-2, Larkspur Lagoon Bulkhead Replacement Project. Could we get a staff report, please?
I can keep this very short and simple. I think the report's very clear. As you'll recall, you authorized the formation of a community facilities district to assist the Marina neighborhood in creating a financing mechanism for a project to fix the bulkheads around the lagoon in that neighborhood. They held an election, and the matter passed to both to levy taxes on the individual properties. So the resolutions in front of you, one is to certify the election results, and the second is to authorize the special tax to go into effect. That is it.
Are there any questions about that? Did we have any feedback from the community about how the process went? Anybody? I see they had 87% turnout for their voting. No feedback, no additional feedback?
I think they're just glad to move to the next step.
Okay. And I see we got a certification from the county that the election was complete and filed. Great. Anything Mr. Wolf wants to contribute, or there's nothing to add? Okay. So you would like any questions on this matter?
No.
Any questions from the audience? Mr. Terry, come to yes, you're late to the party, my friend. I'll see you in the hood. Thank you, Mr. Terry. For those of you who don't see off camera, Phil Terry arrived for our check ceremony, but that's okay. We'll charge you an additional $1 million for your delay. So. But on a positive note, Mr. Terry has been a Larkspur resident for, I don't know, he's your neighbor for probably 60 years, maybe 50 years, and very involved in the library. So I appreciate that he came. Well, there'll be other opportunities for him to be here when we have another big check, hopefully. So, all right. So we have, Yes,
This is a
sir.
public hearing item, so if you could open the public
Yes.
hearing, see if there are any public comments, and then close the public.
I got
hearing.
interrupted by Phil Terry.
Yes.
He writes poems sometimes.
I know, I'm sure he had one for the library.
He's written a poem about me and he probably had one to read tonight, but, all right. This is a public hearing, so I'm opening a public hearing in regards to the Larkspur Community Facilities District number 2524/2. Public hearing is open. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address the council on this matter? Seeing none? Is there anyone in the online audience who'd like to address on this matter? Okay, seeing none. I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council. Are there any further questions about this item? We've been dealing with it for a couple of years now, I think.
And procedurally, I'd suggest taking the resolution and the ordinance as separate items.
Okay, so do I have someone who would like to provide a motion for resolution 1225?
I will move that.
Is there a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? No? All right, that motion, the resolution passes, and that brings us to ordinance 1084. Is there anyone who would like to move ordinance 1084?
I'll move that as well.
I will second that as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nope. All right, the ordinance passes. Thank you to the Larkspur Marina community for working so well with our staff and your outside counsel and your bond, is it a bond agent?
Municipal advisor.
Municipal advisor. Bond agent sounds better, though. I'm going to call you a bond agent next time. Municipal advisor in regards to this matter, and I wish you all a lot of luck in getting your properties better secured from the rising waters. That leaves us to item 8, which is business item, and we have none tonight. So we will adjourn to closed session and with conference with legal counsel about anticipated litigation, and we will return after that. We are back from closed session. It still is April 2nd, 2025. We have returned for after our conference with legal counsel, and we have no reportable action at this time. We will adjourn, and our regular meeting is the next regular meeting is April, what's that say, 16th?
Yes.
April 16th, 2025. Good night.